Well, the Detroit Tigers get the job done. They win the series against the Kansas City Royals in Kansas City. Let's talk about it all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Thursday, May 25th, 2023. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen. Every single day, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team, every day. Well, the Tigers finish the job and do, in fact, win the series against the Royals with a 6-4 victory over them in Kansas City on Wednesday night, a game that was supposed to start sooner, and then rain happened, so it got pushed back a little bit. However, the game was pretty smooth sailing after the first pitch. No rain to speak of there, so it looks like it was a successful delay this time, which we have not seen very often this season, but they got a full game in, no questions asked, no issues or anything like that. And yeah, this was a game where I think I used a similar terminology in game one of this series where the final score was close and the entire first half of the game was close. But at no point did I feel like the Tigers were in legitimate danger of losing this ball game, which maybe is like just dumb of me. But I really felt like they were the better team for most of the game. Maybe not the first time through the lineup. Maybe this feeling started in like the fourth inning, say. Maybe the first three innings, I didn't quite have that feeling. But truly, like this was not a game that I ever was seriously worried about. Even though the Royals did score, to their credit, in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, I still was never. I don't know. I have a lot of faith in Jason Foley. I have a lot of faith in Alex Lang. Even Chasen Shreve, that was kind of BABIP-y a little bit. A couple of hard hit balls for sure, but like, I don't know. I was really never worried about this ball game. I felt like they were the better team for most of it, and they got the job done, which is good. It's amazing what happens when you have the ability to hit the ball out of the infield. Truly, it is amazing. This was a game in which the Tigers had 10 hits, 14 base runners, and of their 10 hits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them were extra base hits. Half of their hits and just short of a third of their total base runners, if you include walks in there, were extra base hits. Half of their hits were for extra bases. And so, excuse me, they went 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They had 7 left on base still as a team. 3 for 10, while it's much better than what we've been given, which is like 1 for 10 and 2 for 11 and whatever. It's not a masterclass performance, but it's good enough. 300. If you hit 300 over the course of the season with runners in scoring position, you're going to be looking pretty darn good. That would like be second in baseball right now. So that was good. But the biggest thing, like you still failed 7 times. The biggest thing was just having extra base power. We've talked about it so much on this show, how if you're not going to have timely hitting, if you don't have the ability to consistently do that, you need to have the ability to play the trump card to timely hitting. And the only trump card to that, to not having it rather, is extra base ability. Because extra bases don't care about your feelings and they don't care about what the situation is. If you can put the ball over the wall, that's a run no matter what. And so they had 2 homers. Obviously, the Zach Short home run was the biggest one. That was a 3-run shot. And then they also had 3 doubles. Riley Green had a double, Spencer Torkelson had a double, and then Jonathan Scope very much had a double as well. We'll talk about him a little bit at the end of the show. But yeah, I just wanted to really highlight that point. Like, we have talked about this so much on this show, so much, right? I feel like we talk about the lack of power on this show more than it is talked about in kind of the national light. And this is the reason why. I can live with not one or not the other. You can either have really clutch hitting and only hit singles and be the 2015 Royals, or you can have a 200 batting average with runners in scoring position the rest of the season. But if you do that, you're going to have to run into some pop. And I still don't have faith that that this is sustainable. This is one game in May. I don't have faith that this team has magically found the ability to do either of those things yet. They have a long way to go till I'm on that ship. But in this ball game, they were able to do that, and it was really good to see. Really, really nice to see that at least on it is possible. It is possible for them to actually have some extra base power. It's within them. It's just a matter of consistently getting it out of them. As far as individual performances go, well, I mean, I guess the whole team, like this was another good approach game. And they've had a lot of those. That's not new. But in this game, it finally met good execution. We've talked so much about marrying those two things, right? You can have a good approach all you want. If you're only drawing walks and hitting singles, it's not going to lead to a good offense, obviously, as the Tigers have the worst offense in baseball. But in this game, they were able to actually marry that with really, really solid execution. I thought their game plan was really solid. And yeah, 10 hits, and everyone except Akil Baddoo and Andy Ibanez that started this game had at least one hit. So very, very impressive in there. And then you had the 4 walks, obviously. But yeah, like Zach Greinke started this ball game and only went 5 innings. Now, 5 innings of 1-run ball. It's not like he got rocked or anything. It's not like the Tigers really crushed him. But they were able to make him work counts. And that's something that this team has surprisingly been decent at, especially as of late, especially in the month of May. Like, they really are making pitchers work. It's just, again, they don't marry the two concepts of execution and approach. And so they make them work, and then when they're forced to throw the ball in the strike zone, the Tigers don't do anything with it. Or, they'll walk 2 dudes and have a runner in scoring position, and then it's pop-out strikeout. In this game, that was not the case, though. And again, it's really just nice to see that it is possible, because when you go a few weeks without seeing it, you almost forget that it is. So this was a very nice, refreshing, oh, look, this team does have the ability, when it feels like it, to actually be a competent offense. It just is a matter of how sustainable and how often they are going to be able to do this. And I still have a lot of hesitation that it's going to be fairly often. Okay. The people that I don't think it should be questioned about whether they should do it fairly often, Riley Green is certainly one of those. He goes 2 for 4 with a walk, a double, and a homer. That is very close to about as good of a ball game as you're going to get out of a player on a game-to-game basis. Very, very impressive. His batting average is up to 291, and his OPS is up to 786 on the year. Creeping up to that 800 OPS, that would be awesome to actually look at this lineup and see someone have an OPS over 800 in like June. That would be awesome. That would be so awesome. It's crazy how low the bar is to like make this fan base happy and just like throw us a bone. But like that would be so nice and refreshing to see. Spencer Torkelson, who I complimented 2 games ago, said negative things about yesterday, and now today I'm going to say good things about. I thought his approaches all night were honestly like borderline stellar. I really thought from AB1, he had like an 11 pitch at bat that he hit a very hard line drive single for and won that battle at the end of the day. Throughout the rest of the game, the double was obviously good, but I thought his approach in this ball game, his pitch selection in this ball game was phenomenal. Okay. I think that's about it for the offense. Well, I do want to talk about Jonathan Scope and Zach Short and such later, but that's kind of a different angle that I want to approach that in. So yeah, this was a very, very solid offensive performance against a probably future Hall of Famer. I know it's 2023 and he's certainly not what he was. And we only got one run off of actually him. It was really the bullpen that we got. But given the fact that it was a series finale and it was kind of, I don't like using the word must win in May, but like this was about as must win as it gets for a May ball game. You cannot lose back-to-back series against the Nationals and the Royals and even pretend that you're anything but a bad baseball team. And they didn't do that. So I give them credit for getting the job done. We will talk about the other reasons and why they got the job done. Other reasons, was I word that right? Other reasons as to why they got the job done. Yeah, right after I tell y'all about our friends over at Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs are the most comfortable pair of shorts that I own. They sent all the hosts a couple of pair of shorts a couple of weeks ago. They are instantly my favorite pair of shorts, literally in my entire wardrobe. They are amazing. I wear them to golf. I wear them out to like nice dinners. They are legitimately the most versatile article of clothing that I own, and they are the most comfortable. It is amazing. I love the fit. I love the way I look in them. I love the way that they feel. Everything about them is just an absolute home run. And I highly, highly recommend you getting your hands on some Bird Dogs today. Like I said, I mean, I literally wear these, like they're exclusively my golf shorts now. That they're all I will wear on the golf course. And I also wear them when just like lounging around the house or whatever. That versatility really is the name of the game with them, while also being unbelievably comfortable. So, go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB, and when you enter the promo code LockedOnMLB, they will throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. Again, that's promo code LockedOnMLB at birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. I appreciate y'all greatly. We will be back tomorrow recapping Game 1 of the series against the Chicago White Sox at home back in Copa. Okay, so Tigers win this ballgame 6-4. We talked about the offense a lot. Let's get into the pitching in this ballgame. Matthew Boyd goes 4 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Lowers. Yeah, definitely lowers. I think his ERA was like 6.3 going into the game. His ERA on the season to 5.74. Still not really too terribly pretty, but I think he threw 86 or 87 pitches in this ballgame as well. The thing with Boyd is we've said it a lot. We've said this part a lot. Like we all know what Matt Boyd is. He is not some substantially or significantly different pitcher than he was in his first Tigers tenure in the year 2023. And so far, however, the issue has not been that he's giving up a billion home runs and whatnot. It's really just been a lack of efficiency. And he has given up his homers, don't get me wrong. But it's been a lack of efficiency. There just hasn't really been an ability for him to go deep into ball games. And a little bit is on AJ there because we've seen Michael Lorenzen throw over 100 pitches and only go, 4 1/3 or 5 innings or whatever. We've seen Erod go deep into ball games, but he's a pretty efficient pitcher when he's on. But we've seen Erod throw 100 pitches through 5 as well. But Boyd has just had a lot of starts go like 5 or less this season. Just a lot. And when you look at the pitch counts of all of them, you're not like, oh, well, he's getting pulled way too early. Like this is, he only threw 55 pitches. Like it's pretty high pitch counts in most of the games. So it's just about finding that ability that we have seen him have before, to be completely fair to him. Like we have seen him in a Tigers uniform have the ability to go 6 innings, go 6 1/3, even approach 7 innings. We've seen him have that quality start potential. And so far, just this season, it hasn't really clicked. And that, of all the things that are very fair to say about Matthew Boyd on the mound, I would not say that consistently throughout his career, like being inefficient has been a consistent one. It's been one that has reared its ugly head at times, but it hasn't been one that just has completely consumed him. And so far this season just hasn't had the ability to go deep into ball games, but only gave up 1 earned run, struck out 6, and only gave up 3 hits. Like, it was a relatively solid performance. In this game, he threw a lot of sliders, and he's always been kind of a really a 2-pitch pitcher that every once in a while will throw in a few change-ups and whatnot, but threw the curveball more than the change in this game, which I noticed. And I wouldn't mind if that was just like a new thing that he started to do. I wouldn't hate it personally. I think his curveball has, if he keeps it low, just like the slider, has the ability to be a pretty effective swing and miss pitch. But really, it's just kind of start to start. It depends on, is he going to throw the changeup as the 3 pitch today? Is it going to be the curveball, whatever? And in this game, it was the curveball. He still threw 7 changeups as well. But really, like I said, in this game, he threw 35 sliders and 29 four-seam fastballs. The 2 of those pitches combined for exactly 75% of the pitches he threw in this ball game. So really, really just a majority slider, fastball heavy. And you know, against this Royals team, they have a lot of dudes who go fishing against sliders, like a boatload. We saw it again. We've seen it the entire series. We saw it again. Erod threw more sliders than he's thrown to start since I don't even know when, right? Like 2 presidents ago was the last time he had thrown that many sliders in a ball game. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things where I think that's in the scouting report, really. And so for Boyd, he was definitely slider heavy in this ball game, and yeah, it was an effective pitch. He got 10 swings and misses on the slider, 5 called strikes, had a 43% CSW percentage on his slider, which was his most thrown pitch. So not an awful ball game, not an awful start for Matt Boyd. Just is really having trouble being super efficient. That's all. You know, just not having the ability to pound the strike zone consistently, which again, when you look at Matt Boyd's career, usually he's not walking too many guys and kind of pounding the zone. I don't want to say too much, but he'll leave balls up in the zone too much and will give up a ton of hard contact because of it. So this is kind of a slightly out of character thing early on in the season for Boyd. And this team desperately needs innings out of their starters. So if there was one thing that I would really want to see out of this rotation, or that one thing that I could change that would, I think, really help this rotation, it wouldn't even be a personnel change. It would simply be have Matthew Boyd have the ability to go 6 innings again, because I think that would really, really save the bullpen a lot and kind of ease the pressure off of the Faedo and Wentz's of the world, who haven't shown the ability to consistently go deep into ball games yet. But if you can get 3 guys that you're confident can, that's a whole lot different than 2, right? Just percentage wise, you're talking about less than half your rotation to over half your rotation. So I think it's a really, really important deal for Boyd to figure that out long term. That'll be something we keep an eye on. Okay, I do want to talk about on our fancy little itinerary here that we have now, thanks to the new graphics. I do want to talk about this kind of odd man out conversation. Okay, and I think that it's interesting to have after a game like this, where Jonathan Scope got his first RBI of the season on May 24th, and Zach Short homered, and like Akil Baddoo played. And there's just a lot of conversation surrounding what happens when Kerry Carpenter comes back. Like, who is the odd man out there? I think that it's an interesting conversation to have. So we'll talk about that and how it related back into this ball game right after I tell y'all about our friends over at Rocket Money. Try it free for 30 days. We've heard that a million times. It's just enough time to try it and then completely forget about it. In fact, over 80% of people have subscriptions they have forgotten about. You could be wasting money and not even realizing it. Rocket Money helps you find those forgotten subscriptions so you can stop paying for the ones you don't use. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions and monitors your spending and helps you lower your bills all in one place, because over 80% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about. That's such a high number. Chances are you are one of those people. There's plenty of apps. That app that you bought just so that you could watch a TV show once and you forgot about it, or a gaming app for the same thing and you never even played any games on it. It is an app that, even outside of the subscription thing, really helps you manage your finances all in one place. It automatically categorizes your expenses so you can easily track your budget in real time and also get alerted if anything looks off to you. So stop throwing away your money, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB. That's rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment, Locked On Tigers. Tigers win. Win the game, win the series. And, I'm not trying to get everybody's hopes up that Kerry Carpenter is like going to be back today or this weekend or anything. I still think he is a little bit of a ways away. But even if you want to replace it with like Justin Henry Malloy or whatnot, whoever you have your eye on about like returning to this lineup, there is a very unique and interesting conversation surrounding what to do, because there's just a lot of players that are all kind of in the same boat to me, right? I think Zach Short, Nick Maton, Andy Ibanez, Jonathan Scope are all kind of in this same boat of like, if they don't start hitting at some point, the Tigers are going to have no option other than to send them down in the cases of like Short and Maton and whatnot, and then just like DFA them in terms of Jonathan Scope. So while one game in which Jonathan Scope finally roped a baseball and got a 2 RBI double is not going to like save Jonathan Scope's season or anything, or save his future single-handedly. Obviously, I hope that he just turns it around. I would love for 2021 Jonathan Scope to just return. That would be my best case scenario, because we are paying him throughout the rest of the season. But assuming that doesn't happen, which I think is a relatively safe assumption at this point, I think that those kind of players are all in the same boat. And Jonathan Scope being DFA'd is like the easy one, because we talked about it last week. The only thing he has provided is an ability to hit left-handed relievers as a pinch hitter. That's it. He doesn't hit left-handed starters well. He doesn't hit righties at any capacity well anymore. The only thing that he's done well so far this season is hit lefty relievers well. And so if he's not doing that, really, even if he is, that's not enough for me to like keep a dude on a team. Especially when we could be giving someone else a look, or like with how Kerry Carpenter looked before the injury or whatnot. That doesn't garner a roster spot to me. But those are all like in one group to me. And I think that that's important to state, because I don't think that Nick Maton is just like guaranteed a roster spot this year. Certainly not. His OPS is 617. His average is 167. And he has shown no ability to consistently hit breaking balls. Zach Short has been Zach Short. We're not going to be surprised by what Zach Short is at this point. We're very aware of what he is. He's a guy that walks a really solid amount, but he does not hit for average whatsoever, and he runs into a home run once every couple of weeks. He's got some sneaky power. And he's versatile defensively. And I think that there is place for someone like that on the 40-man, maybe even on your major league roster, maybe even as a super utility guy that doesn't play super often, but you have the ability to go to him on the bench when the platoon matches up, and he can be a defensive replacement late, gives you another kind of leg up versatility-wise against your opponent. Sure, that's fine. But when people start coming, like when Kerry Carpenter starts coming back, and when Justin Henry Malloy passes that kind of threshold of He's doing really well, and we're kicking the can down the road on when his free agency would start. Once all of those boxes are checked and he inevitably comes up because he will play in the majors at some point this season, probably in the month of June at some point. I don't know whether that's June 1st or June 30th, but that's kind of my guess would be it would be sometime in that month. Some decisions are going to have to be made. I think Andy Ibanez is the first to go, and I think Jonathan Scope is really close to Andy Ibanez. Andy Ibanez 0 for 3 tonight, now has a 505 OPS on the season. He was really hot for about a week and a half, and everything before that and everything after that has been next to like almost over outside of that 1 week hot streak. So just something to keep an eye on there. And in this game, Zach Short, obviously a massive part in the victory, and Jonathan Scope, 2 RBI double, the Tigers win by 2 runs. Absolutely love to see it. Really good swing. Roped the baseball, like I said. Absolute screamer off the bat. Great to see. Like I said, I want all these dudes to bat 1,000. Like it's just I think that ship is probably sailed for Jonathan Scope. But great in this ball game. Zach Short, great in this ball game. And the only other thing I really want to talk about is just the bullpen. The bullpen had a bend but don't break mentality in this ball game. Will Vest goes 1 1/3. He looked great again. He went 1 1/3, no runs, no walks, no hits, 2 strikeouts, looked phenomenal. Jason Shreve enters. Okay, he gives up 3 hits and 1 run. And I didn't think that he was terrible, and I didn't think that he was not executing his pitches or anything like that. I just think that the Royals have this ability to slap the ball all over the yard. They don't have a ton of power themselves, but they have the ability to rack up some singles, and I think that that's just kind of what they did against Shreve. Then Jason Foley enters the ball game. He goes 1 1/3, 2 runs or 2 hits, 1 run. 1 strikeout, kind of elevated on the strikeout. I was like, okay, usually the sinker ball pitchers aren't the guys that are going to go, 97 top of the zone to get a swing and a miss. But I think maybe that was the game plan. Maybe he just missed his spot. I don't know. But that was I kind of enjoyed that. And I was like, wow, I did not expect him to go letters high 97 mile an hour sinker for strike 3, but I'll gladly take it. But I with Foley and Lang both giving up runs in this ball game and neither looking their best, it's awesome if they can have, oh, that was not our best outing. That's the 1 run we give up for the next 2 weeks in a game in which we had a big cushion and it doesn't matter anyway. That would be ideal. And then in 1-run games, we can go back to the dominant, like 2 of the best reliever in baseball type of thing. That's my dream. How realistic that is, time will only tell. But that's my dream scenario, is that this is just, oh, well, we allowed 1 run. It's okay. Not the end of the world. The Tigers still won comfortably. Both of them can say that, and then they move on, and it's fine. Foley just didn't have as much bite on his sinker as it usually does, and also honestly just left one of them, a couple of them up, actually. There was a couple, like, we have not seen anybody really successfully hit for, like, extra base or home run power against Jason Foley all season because of just the shape of that sinker. And in this game, he had a couple of, like, he had one especially, like, warning track fly out that I was worried about for a second. So definitely something to, again, like, keep an eye on. If it's a one-time thing, then who cares? You just move on. But we'll see how that progresses. And then Lang, this is a couple outings in a row that I've been very unimpressed by his command. He's been kind of back to being sporadic, and I get worried about walks, and I get worried about falling behind in counts and whatnot. But his stuff is so good that he has the ability to fall behind like this and get himself into trouble. And then, like, if he just starts hitting his spots, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Like, the other team is just, out of luck. Like, that's, if he's even close to hitting his spots, it won't matter. And so yes, like this was certainly not the cleanest outing he's ever had, and hopefully gets it tightened up and gets the ship straightened out there before this weekend. But it's so impressive to me that he can fall behind and he can not look his best and still get the job done like with ease. Like, yes, he gave up a run, but like, was there really ever a question? Were we really sweating at any point? I wasn't personally. Like, yeah, I'll be fine. Yeah, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? For both of those guys. So it's nice to have a little bit of confidence in a pair of relievers in the back end of your pen. That's a really nice feeling. Just be like, yeah, not their best, but I wasn't really worried. Great to see. All right, I think that's everything. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every single day. Tomorrow we'll be recapping game 1 of the White Sox series. Really quickly about the White Sox. I'm not going to spend too much time. We don't have time for a full preview or anything, but they got off to a horrific start to the season. They were legitimately terrible for the entire month of April. Has been, I don't want to say like no longer the case, but they have been winning ball games lately. I believe they're 7-3 in their last 10. They just crushed Cleveland on Wednesday night. They're like coming. They're like, I'm not saying that they're gonna like make a run at the division. They're still 9 games under 500 because they got off to such a dreadful start in the month of April. But like they got 2 wins in a row that they're going into Thursday's game with, and they have been playing much, much better baseball as of late. Like I said, 7-3 in their last 10 ball games. The offense seems to be clicking a little bit more. Luis Robert, somebody who he was day to day actually going into this series. I'm assuming he'll play at least 3 games, if not all 4, because I think he just missed Wednesday and he'll be fine. But like, he was someone who got off to an awful start in April and then has really turned it around and has been hitting home runs like crazy in May. Like, they are not the April White Sox. If you just haven't paid attention to or listened to the White Sox since the end of April, when everyone was clowning on them for being an absolute train wreck, they have not been playing like that lately. Okay, so this is not some, oh, we're going into facing this completely dysfunctional team type of thing. Like, this is a team that, well, I mean, only has 1 less win than you on the season. They've played a lot more games. They have 5 more losses, but yeah, 21 wins for the White Sox. So got to take care of business at home. Really big series. Obviously, anytime you play interdivision is a big deal, and the White Sox specifically, longstanding rivalry there, obviously. So yeah, pretty important series this weekend. As far as the pitching matchup goes, I mean, it's a 4-game set. So for the Tigers, everybody except Matthew Boyd is going to pitch this weekend. Erod's going to get Sunday. And then the next 3, and then Lorenzen's going to get Saturday. And the next 2 are going to be Faedo and Wentz. So, yeah, tall task. Tall task. I think, I don't know. You just went 500 in 6 games against the Nationals and the Royals. I'm not sure that's like a major win that we should be celebrating, like going 500 against 2 of the worst teams in baseball. But looking ahead, do we demand 3 out of 4? Is that really like, should we be like, we demand, like, we need 3 of 4 if you want to be serious? I don't know if you're like that much better than the White Sox. I don't know. If we split, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not really going to be surprised with anything except a sweep. Like, that would really be the only thing that would really shock me. If they win 3 of 4, okay, the White Sox haven't been great this year. If they split, okay, makes sense. If they win 1 of 3, well, on paper, that roster's better than you. That kind of makes sense too. If they get swept, I will cry. But the only thing that would really shock me is a Tigers sweep. That would really be the only thing that like genuinely stuns me. So, yeah, anything can happen. This White Sox team is very inconsistent, hot and cold, yes and no. Yeah, so we'll see how it plays out. Should be a fun weekend. Yeah, peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I will catch y'all on Monday, baby. Here's this cool outro video. Go Tigers.